Welcome to another episode of the Connect with Tebello, and today we'll be discussing and further dissecting and analyzing and understanding Muammar Gaddafi. And for those who did not know, Muammar Gaddafi was the former leader of Libya, which is situated up North Africa. He was known for his ideologies, mainly being that he wanted Africa to become a liberated continent from the Western hegemony and the Western dominance. He also wanted Africa to have a pan-African currency, which would be backed by gold. And if this pan-African currency would be successful, it would be a threat towards the USD currency, and it would also be a threat towards the CFA franc of France. And obviously the West did not want this. Muammar Gaddafi was born in 1942 outside Sirte in a small village, but then Sirte would also be the place where he would be later murdered by the rebels, which were indirectly supported by NATO and the UN Security Council, right? And one conflict or one event that led to all of this, that allowed the West to use this conflict as a proxy to get to Muammar Gaddafi, was the Arab Spring protest. And basically the Arab Spring protest was a protest where both the Libyan citizens and also the rebels wanted an end towards Muammar Gaddafi's rule. They wanted an end to his rule because, for those who did not know, Muammar Gaddafi led Libya for more than 40 years, and 42 years being exact, and people did not want this. That's resulting to uprisings, that's resulting to protest, that's resulting to rebellions, and all of these were violent, right? And as a leader, Muammar Gaddafi also responded violently. He used his military force to respond to all of this protest and violence that was directed towards him. And all of these back and forth caught the attention of the West. And this resulted to the UN Security Resolution 1973. And this was a resolution that basically wanted to save the Libyan people. And the UN, together with NATO, which was responsible for the international military intervention in Libya, intervened within this conflict by posing airstrikes against Muammar Gaddafi's military force. They posed airstrikes. His military force was weakened, and all this subsequently resulted to the rebels being able to be much more stronger than Muammar Gaddafi's force, thus allowing the rebels to get to Muammar Gaddafi and end him right there and then. And then why I say that the West had an influence towards the rebels' strength against Muammar Gaddafi's force was that some of the reports say that there was an email that was sent to the State Secretary of the USA, and she is a civil servant in which I will not mention the name, but then this email basically said that in Libya there is this revolutionary by the name of Muammar Gaddafi, and this revolutionary is aiming to create a pan-African currency that is backed by gold. And sources claim that Libya has tons of gold reserves, and obviously this would pose a threat towards the USA, right? So some reports say that the reason why this resolution and intervention was established was to stop the formation of the pan-African currency and the liberation of Africa from the Western dominance. These are some of my thoughts. But then moving forward, Muammar Gaddafi, he was weakened and he tried to escape in a convoy in Sirte, but then was stopped due to an airstrike from NATO, which allowed the rebels to get to Muammar Gaddafi, because after the airstrike, Muammar Gaddafi along with his associates tried to escape on foot, but they did not go far. the rebels caught to them, and some other reports claim that he was brutally murdered. He was murdered inhumanely. He was murdered in a very painful manner. And that was the end of him. And after the end of Muammar Gaddafi, Libya was no longer the same. Libya starting to spiral down. It spiraled down even today. But some of my thoughts that I would like to share is that through all of these events, I am noticing a trend. And the trend is that every time the West sees something they do not like in Africa, they use our very own brothers to fight against us or oppress us. Basically meaning that they use Africans to oppress Africans in order to further the Western agenda. And we also see this through the recent, and I say recent because it was not long ago, the recent Congo genocide that was led by King Leopold II of Belgium. And this was when Congo was known as the Congo Free State, in which King Leopold of Belgium used the force publique that was made up of our own African brothers to oppress our Congolese brothers. The force publique was made up of the very same Congolese, the very same Western African brothers, and so much more. So these Western brothers oppressed the Congolese for Belgium. Each and every genocide, each and every war that happens in Africa, there's always an intervention from the West. This is the trend that I am seeing. And one thing I'd also like to share is that I do not know when we as Africa will rise up. I do not know if we will support or follow suit in the footsteps of Ibrahim Traore, but then we will discuss that on another episode. I'd like you to share your thoughts and let's have a conversation.